Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Zoe PNG, and in today's video I'm going to be bringing you to my first week of art classes. Starting off the week strong, I have my favorite class, landscape painting. Starting this course, I was very nervous because I'm used to being in a studio where I'm stagnant and I don't have to pack up my art supplies every single time I want to paint. Whereas in landscape painting, we have to basically have our studio packed up and ready to go wherever and whenever. So we were given a portable easel, which is a tripod and a connecting piece that holds your canvas, and then this painting box, which is where you store all your paint and you can connect it to your easel. It is definitely something I need to get used to. It is very unusual to travel with your painting setup, but I know that in the end of this course, I will have developed some really good skills. And come on, nothing can beat painting outside in nature. It's so relaxing and such an amazing vibe compared to the studio. And my finished painting came out pretty well, which I'm super proud of. On Tuesdays, I don't have any classes, so I like to plan this day out as a study day. So basically, I just spend the day catching up on any homework or even getting ahead on any readings or papers. So here I'm just working on a topic proposal for my contemporary art history course, where we are doing a research paper where I'll be analyzing one of Judy Chicago's pieces of artwork called Sappho's Place Setting, and this is from the dinner party installation she did. I'm really excited to get started on this research project because I love Judy Chicago so much, and she is such a huge inspiration to me and my artwork. Afterwards, I got into my readings for this week, and I have a few for multiple different classes, including contemporary art history. We are expected to do the readings and then write a response and be prepared to discuss for class. I like to get ahead on my readings so then I don't always have to do them last minute and rush them. And often or not, I like to do the readings at least a week beforehand so I'm well prepared. And then finally, I started working on something that actually isn't for school. I was commissioned to do an illustration for the cover of a university's gazette, not my university, but a neighboring university to mine. And here I'm just mapping out the main focus and details of this illustration. On Wednesdays, I have my figure drawing class where we have a model come in and pose for us and we get to sketch them out. This is a really great class for learning the anatomy of the human body and being able to draw people more accurately, and I'm hoping it'll be able to broaden my skills. We first start out the class by going to a media theater where our professor tells us what we will be focusing on for this class, as well as our homework for this week. However, because our models are nude, I am not allowed to film in this class. The few clips here are from when the model was outside the classroom or when we were on our break. The overall objective and learning for this class was to focus on fluidity in our poses. On Thursdays, I have my contemporary art history course. So at the beginning of this class, my professor has a PowerPoint that we go over, and this is where we discuss what is going on in the art world at the time. And a lot of people might think that art history is just looking at art from the past. However, it is extremely political and social. And in these classes, you are looking at what was going on politically or culturally during that time period that inspired these pieces of artwork. So in this class, we were just discussing the beginnings of the modern art period, which was right after the Second World War and how in that freshly post-war society, people were very inspired to do something new and be avant-garde. They did this by going up against the traditional artistic values and techniques of the time and really focusing on the rawness or crudeness over elite refinement. It was also during this time where the art center of the world shifted from Paris to America. On Thursday evenings, I have my Aqueous media course, which is technically just a watercolor class, but it's called Aqueous media because we will be using gouache, which is also a water-based media. If you've watched some of my other videos, you guys would know that I am a big fan of gouache and not so big of watercolors. So hopefully this course can get me to use both and not just favor one over the other. In this class, we were given a photocopy of these roses and were instructed to paint them so my professor could gauge what we knew and what we needed to learn. And I definitely have a lot more to learn. Friday is my final day of the week where I have classes, and this day I have my Art Action and Environment course. This is a seminar course where we focus on art and the environment and how we as artists can become activists for the environment through our art practice. For this class, we planned a visit to the Dalhousie Art Gallery, which was hosting the show called Regarding Land. And this exhibition is a curation of multiple film artists where their works challenge reductive portrayals of vast and immensely variegated geography through tender conceptual excavations that unearth the manifold entanglements connecting both local inhabitants and diasporic communities to land. We were also able to get a very in-depth and personal experience with the artists themselves. We were able to have a conversation with them and ask them as many questions as we liked. It was very interesting to get a one-on-one conversation with these artists and really get behind their thought process of their works. And I was truly honored by the fact that they had multiple Palestinian artists there advocating for the right of their land, and I was able to talk to them firsthand. Overall, it was such a wonderful experience. Friday night after the gallery visit, I decided I wanted to complete my figure drawing homework, which consisted of 2 full figure drawing studies, 1 gestural drawing of 2 feet, and then 2 additional fully fledged out and finished drawing of feet. For the figure drawing portion, we were really focusing on proportions and an accuracy to our interpretations of the human form. As you can see on my reference photo, I have drawn sight lines which help me determine where I need to place certain body parts in relation to another. And I am going off of these sight lines to accurately sketch out my drawing. Using this technique also helps a lot when your figure is foreshortened, because sometimes you are seeing certain things and you think it's some way, but in reality, drawing something that is foreshortened is really difficult. So these sight lines really do indeed help figuring out where to place that body part that is foreshortened. And while doing this homework assignment, I definitely did notice that doing the sightline technique definitely made my drawing process go a lot smoother and indeed quicker. Once finishing those 2 figure drawings, I moved on to the next portion of the homework assignment. I already did my 20-minute gestural drawing of feet, so now I am doing those 2 final drawings of feet, which are meant to be 1 hour each. I'm really just focusing on the different planes of the foot and how to render that properly. I feel as though this course has already given me so much skills and improvement in my drawing, and I feel like it's just been a really great experience. Although it's been hard, it's been really great. And being able to notice that improvement in your drawing so quickly is such an amazing feeling because it makes you feel proud of all the progress you've done. On Saturday, I decided I wanted to do my landscape painting homework, and I went back to the public gardens in Halifax and I set myself up for my painting session. I really wanted to draw these trees that I set up in front of, and I thought the scene was really great, although I will say the end result is really bad, and honestly, I don't even want to show it. But I do have to remind myself that this is still the first week of doing landscape paintings properly. I mean, I did practice a little bit over the summer, but this is my first time actually doing it plein air. And so I need to be a little bit gracious with myself and allow myself to mess up sometimes. I am excited, however, to see my improvement over time in landscape paintings. Thank you so much for watching this video and coming along with me to my first week of classes.